that 26 miners have come up in the last week and have made some claims, and I know that altogether, close to 1,500 have been arrested, and most of them are from other countries, purportedly. They don't want to give us numbers, but we're pretty sure some of them are also South Africans. And this is a problem in South Africa, a problem for Africa, and a problem from Southern Africa. So, what are the details that you know from your research, Falabi?
Yeah, basically, like you rightly mentioned, 26 of them have been arrested and they are facing court charges for illegal mining. Also, there's been a very robust military operation, Valam Godi as it's called. And what they've basically done is to cordon off exits of these mines to try and, block and blockade the illegal miners as they're trying to struggle to come out. They've also tried to use starvation as a weapon, but that proved to be quite counterproductive on Christmas Eve when they sent a chilling letter to some of
Yeah,
those
hold on. Before you
operatives.
continue, that's the
Yeah,
dumbest thing I've ever heard for several reasons. You want to starve these people out, but you know why I think it's the dumbest thing? Because some of those people
yeah,
down there are criminals, and some of them are people who are in hostage and everything. And that is a cruel treatment. That's cruel treatment of innocent people, to be honest with you. And
yeah,
some of them are being held down there. But yeah, but continue. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah. So, like I said, on Christmas Eve, they sent a message in their native Zulu language that they're going to turn into cannibalism if they think they can weaponize starvation and they're going to begin to eat people if they don't send them food. And that has,
Wait, hold on. Was that their quote? Because I thought that. Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing. I'm getting conflicting. Did they say that we're going to eat people, or did they say people have already started eating people? That's
they
what I've
have
heard.
already started
Yeah.
eating people. That was what was in the letter. But apparently, it was discovered that some of them had started eating people because there were a lot of dead people there anyway, and they were starving. And they were using
Yeah.
that as a
And see, I
strategy.
don't know. See,
Yeah, continue.
yeah, come closer. You're a little bit. You're breaking a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I was gonna say was that see, that letter could either be yeah, that letter could be something that's not true. That's maybe for the people down there to make people feel sorry, or it could be true. I don't know. What do you think? That's one of those ones. I don't know if it's gotten that bad. Do you think that they're writing that so that they can get public sympathy? I mean, the people who are coming up can get public sympathy, or it's a ploy by the criminals under there to for some manipulative reason, or are people really eating dead? And if that's the case, and I don't know whether it's true or not because I'm not down there, which highlights the point that so much of this stuff is cloaked in secrecy and obscurity. And for all we know, thousands of people may have died underneath there. What do you think, Falabi?
Well, personally, I think they're just using, they're trying to get the people to send food down. Whether indeed they have started cannibalizing,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, because most of these guys, they're on drugs, they're gangsters. You can't possibly fathom the extent to which they can go, really. And they're in desperate, dire situation.
Yeah.
If they don't,
Hmm.
and if they don't get food for a very long time, I mean, you can't bet against them eating the flesh of dead people. But I would imagine that the
Dead
government
people.
should have
Yeah.
handled this in a more strategic way. Why would you weaponize starvation to try and get people out? There's the humanitarian aspect, and there's also the fight against criminal illegal gangs. And the problem was initially was started by the government. They abandoned some mines and they left them unattended. Then criminal gangs started going there to mine illegally. And then after some time, those ones formed some kind of syndicate and they became armed, and it was difficult for the government to then control their activities. So it was the fault of
Yeah.
the government
So
from the get-go.
So all of this is, to me, if you honest, all of this is the government's fault. Now, what the angle they're taking is that, oh, look, these illegal miners are coming to cause trouble. No, these are very poor Southern Africans, some from Mozambique, some from Zimbabwe, some from Lesotho, and some from South Africa. And they're coming to these mines to look for work. Now, if it's poor foreigners, it's not the government's problem that people are coming into South Africa. But the real problem is that these mines were shut down because they weren't run properly. Private companies, the price of gold, I mean, South Africa gold and mining has been suffering because the corporations haven't been pumping back money to maintain them. So then they just abandon these business projects. Thousands of people lose jobs, and those areas become susceptible to cartels and stuff using them. And then afterwards, the government wants to take them out because they don't want them profiting off of the illegal mines, the gold and stuff that comes from there, because it affects the market and affects powerful corporations. You see what I'm saying? This illegal mining industry is stealing, is taking money from the legitimate mining industry. So that's why the police are so hell, but they don't care about the lives of those people under there. They just want to make sure that the illegal mining stops. So to me, this could have even been an assassination. We don't care if you die, but one thing you're not going to do is you're not going to flood the market with competition minerals. What do you think, Falabi?
I quite agree with you. And I kind of think that some people in the government are involved in this because gold trade
Oh
and
yes, they have
mining,
to be.
yes,
Yeah,
is a very
just like the illegal oil siphoning in Nigeria. It.
exactly,
Trust me, people. Yes.
exactly. You brought the words out of
Hmm.
my mouth. And if you look at
Yeah.
oil bunkering too, most of these guys that bunker oil and refine it locally and sell is akin to what these guys are doing. They're actually mining, but they're illegal. But it's because the mining business in South Africa is porous and it's filled with
Come closer.
corruption. I, it's porous. The mining business in South Africa is porous and is filled with illegal, member people in the government are profiting from it. So there's a lot of corruption. And so when the gold trade went down,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
had to close off some mines because the money coming from there was not helping the government. Most of them were going to middlemen that are corrupt, that are not even supposed to be part of the government. They were making money off the proceeds of this mining. So that's what led to the closing of some of these activities. And right now, I still believe some top government people are involved in some of these criminal gangs that are sponsoring the people
Oh
that are
yeah, yeah.
mining from
But,
them.
but, but my main thing is that so this is a problem. So with the guys coming outside of South Africa coming in, that's the problem within South Africa that is not South Africa's fault. We want to be careful not to
They,
villainize
they,
the
they
people
say,
coming
they
in there
say
because
some
we
of
know
them
that.
are from Zimbabwe, some from Lesotho, some from
Yeah, yeah. But
Mozambique.
okay, so and my argument is that we know that's not a. I'm not going to fully fault the South African government because it's very difficult to keep borders closed. But we don't want this situation to get where it becomes, oh, these are foreigners and they're destroying our country. This mining issue is done by companies which did not properly um, seal those places once they abandoned them. You get what
Sure,
I'm saying?
sure,
And
sure,
not only
sure.
that, I'm telling you, at least one fourth from the numbers I've been hearing, at least one fourth of the illegal miners are South African. And this
Sure.
goes to show that in a country that has mineral resources, everything, there's such poverty and desperation
Of
that
course.
people are being pushed to do this type of work. And I'm talking about the South African miners, not the illegal miners. But we can
Yes,
be
yes,
sure
yes.
that these cartels that are in there are not run externally. They're run internally. The government knows what's going on, I'm pretty sure. And it's run by syndicates. So what's happening is South Africa has a serious crime problem, not just in the mining industry where there's gangs. There's also problems with drugs, with individuals who are South African and also with individuals who come into the country. So it seems like, and also when you go to Cape Town, you have Bulgarian and Eastern European mafia who are there, who deal with meth that you see with the colored people killing each other, and they also deal with prostitution and bringing in drugs.
Yeah.
So South Africa, because of the immense wealth that it has, is in turmoil. And it's a very complex situation, and the solution to the problem is very complex. But I think that the root of all of this problem is the inequality in South Africa in wealth. And the Constitution or the legislation needs to make sure that conditions within the country uh, are better than they are, and this is going to require spending money from the gross GDP. So, in other words, the South African budget needs to be aimed towards solving social problems. This is the same as whether we're in Nigeria or we're in Niger or we're in Russia. The wealth of the nation, its mineral wealth, its human labor resources, and all of the natural resources should be aimed towards having a society in which there are not problems. Now, immigration and migration are problems, but they can be handled better if the mineral resources in South Africa are not being looted by companies and politicians. What do you think? Yeah.
I agree with you. And like you rightly mentioned, there's disproportionate wealth because of poverty. And it stems from the massive influence of the years of apartheid. There's still a lot of inequality in South Africa. And it's affecting a lot of the people that are poor. They
Yeah.
become they
Hmm.
become they become so desperate. And if you look at it, it's even estimated about 25 tons of gold are smuggled annually to UAE and Switzerland. So this
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
gold, they bypass official channels and they deprive the country of revenue. Now, the illegal
Yeah,
economy not only feeds criminal syndicates, but it also affects the country's ability to regulate the process. I think it's because the process is not regulated
yeah.
that this Zama Zama taking
See,
advantage. Yeah,
here's the thing, and I'm going to go out on a limb because no matter how much research you do, you might not find out proof of this, but we know for a fact that
yeah, sure, sure.
this high level criminal syndicate for mining is made. It's what's the word I want to use? It's facilitated by people in power in South Africa. There's no way
Yeah,
this can happen in any country, especially South Africa, which has very good intelligence. So that means that there's still corruption. Their politicians were
yeah,
involved in this thing. The
of
last
course.
big mining scandal was Lone Min, where they killed those guys. I think it was 2012, something like that. Ramaphosa sat on the board of he was one of the people on the he's a shareholder in that company. You're a politician and you're a shareholder in a foreign mining company. So what I'm saying is that they're all making money off this and all this illegal stuff. This is not just a bunch of bandits who pick up guns and say, let's go under the ground and take these slaves and take these workers. No, this is run by some powerful transnational and national and political figures in South
For
Africa
sure.
and abroad. So
Absolutely.
it's a very big
Absolutely.
problem. And
It's a big
scapegoating
problem.
a few poor people who work under the ground for $2 a month from Mozambique or from Zimbabwe is not going to solve the problem. What are your thoughts, Falabi?
Yeah, the problem I even see here is the scale of the problem. I hear that they have about 6,000 disused mines. And in one of the
Six
mines, I think,
thousand,
yes, and
six
in one
thousand.
of the,
Yeah.
yes, 6,000. And in one of the mines, they have about 4,000 trapped people. So even as they're arresting people, some of the correctional facilities are becoming overwhelmed. So it's a big issue which the country has put
Yeah, and
upon
we'll
their
never know how many people are under there and how many people end up dying. But it's clear that these are underground worlds. People go under there for months
for
and
months.
live. So this is an issue within South Africa. And so what I'm going to say that once again, I'm going to double down that South Africa, just like other African nations, needs to become socialist. And what I mean by
Yeah,
socialist is that the wealth of the country, which is fantastic. If Europeans had this type of wealth, they'd be we'd probably be in space by now with that type of
yeah,
technology, with the wealth that South Africa has. The
yeah,
money needs to be used to address everything, to address poverty within the country, to also address the borders. And you never know if Pan Africanism actually pans out. South Africa becomes so rich that, and Africa will become so rich that we don't have borders anymore, like how Europe has. EU member, African Union member. Oh, you're from Nigeria, you want to go to South Africa and work there? Cool. Here's your EU membership, your African Union membership. You're
yeah.
from South Africa, you want to go work in Kenya, you want to come to Nigeria where you're welcome. That's the future. But for now, you have to have borders to protect your nation because of problems within your nation. But those problems go away when the money from the resources is used so that every citizen and every human being who lives within those borders lives under law and social justice. What do you think, Afolabi?
Oh, sure, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. They are being exploited. The migrant workers are being exploited. A lot of these Zama Zama, they go through
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah, they're being exploited.
difficult
And also,
conditions,
South Africa is being exploited, the whole country, because of its mineral wealth. Yeah.
mineral wealth. And if you look at some of them, they have to go through a lot of dangerous situation. And then at the end of the day, what they give them is paltry, very small amounts. Maybe they
But
now give them
no,
some
the amount of
drugs.
food, the amount of food they eat every day is less than the amount of energy they spend down
Yeah,
there.
they're just portions. They just give them
And then they
portions
end up
to
using
stay alive.
drugs, drinking alcohol. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So it's
So
a
thank you.
big
So we're going to
problem.
continue this because this is an ongoing saga, and we hope that it continues to
And
trend. So
I
that's
hear
terrible.
also I hear also that something similar is happening in the northern part of Nigeria. Some young Hausa
Oh yeah,
children are being made to to mine a lithium for some
because
Chinese
there's
companies.
platinum and stuff in the northern part
Yeah,
of Nigeria.
lithium.
Yeah,
Yes,
platinum
exactly.
companies,
Yes,
platinum
and
in
some people are
Nigeria.
profiting. Some people
Yeah,
in the government are
and Nigeria
profiting
doesn't
off
even.
this.
Yeah, yeah, and you can be sure that some people in South African government are profiting off of this
Sure,
illegal mining.
sure.
Now, this is
It's
a
just
big
like
problem,
arms.
but we're going to
It's just
continue.
like arms
I
in the
was joking. I
US.
said I hope this story keeps trending because we need stories that trend. So keep it on, keep the crisis going.
Oh, sure, sure,
I'm
sure,
joking.
sure.
No, yeah, I don't have anything else to say because at this point there's stampedes in Nigeria over food. People underground in South Africa. Africa is so far. Oh. Africa is so free, though. All right, Afolabi, last words and take us out. we're going to
I
continue
think
with
that
this again early
I
next week.
think the wisest way for the government to approach this, first and foremost, provide emergency relief, including food and water, to the trapped miners, and then they have to clamp down on some of these gangs. I think slowly but surely, and then they should regulate the mining business. I think that's the only way they can do it. But there are no quick fixes. It's going to take time.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this thing has gotten so far now that it's a tragedy, and that we just need to learn because we don't really know how many
So,
people are
so
dead.
many people have
Th-
died.
that thing might
So
end up
many
being
people
like
have
almost
died.
like a mass, the equivalent of a massacre. You know,
Yes, sure, sure, sure,
a mass amount of people dying in one group.
sure,
There may
sure.
be up to thousands of people who end up dying under there. But anyway,